Hello and welcome. Tonight, blogger Martins Otse, known as Very Dark Man, appears before the House of Representatives panel investigating bribery allegations involving the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Nigeria Correctional Service. Mr. Otse says he obtained the trending viral video from Idris Okuneye, known as Bobrisky. His creditor, as the cross-dresser citing ill health, abstains from the hearing. The President swears in Justice Kudirat Kekerekun as the substantive 23rd Chief Justice of Nigeria. As the newly sworn-in Chief Justice says, there will be consequences for any act of indiscretion that will bring the judiciary to disrepute. And President Bola Tinubu to make a nationwide broadcast tomorrow, Tuesday, October the 1st, at 7 in the morning as part of activities to commemorate the 64th independence anniversary of the country.
On business news tonight, World Bank approves 3 new loans requests of about $1.57 billion in financing for Nigeria.
On sports, Cameroonian Football Federation President Samuel Eto'o has been handed a 6-month ban from attending any international matches involving the Central African country by a FIFA disciplinary panel.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, ahead of the October 19 local government elections in Kaduna, Governor Obasani flags off the campaign of the All Progressives Congress, promises to ensure a level playing field for all political parties.
And in international news from London, Palestinian militant group Hamas says Fatah Sharif Abu el-Amin, the group's leader in Lebanon, has been killed along with his family members in an Israeli airstrike.
We begin from the National Assembly, where the House of Representatives has commenced investigation into the bribery and corruption allegations against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Nigeria Correctional Service. The Controller General of Prisons and the officers involved in the allegations who appeared before the committee denied all allegations, while the Commission informed the committee that the onus of proving this allegation against officials of the Commission rests squarely on Idris Okuneye, also known as Bobrisky, who was absent, and social media influencer Martins Otse, also known as Very Dark Man. Our correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
The investigation of alleged bribery and corruption against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Correctional Service gets underway in the House of Representatives. The Commission, the Service and social media influencer Martins Otse, also known as Very Dark Man, are present, while the man in the eye of the storm, Idris Okuneye, also known as Bobrisky, is absent. Very Dark Man refuses to address the committee in the absence of Bobrisky, who sent a lawyer instead, and the committee responds.
The powers of this House cannot be taken for granted, and we will not allow it. So I will plead to you to go ahead. Nobody should deceive you. And I want to plead with your lawyer. You see, we invited him, not you. You've been raising your hand. We are in charge here. I want to move a motion that the witness refusing to answer to the Parliament, the Sergeant at Arms, should be called to arrest and detain the witness because it's part of the powers you have to invoke. We expect you to talk to us, but where you refuse, we can invoke the constitutional powers we have here.
So it's obvious that there's a godfather somewhere that might maybe told him not to come, and nothing will happen because he has disrespected everybody here by not coming, and you are trying to force me to talk, and you are already throwing a little threat that you detain me. I'll stay in the cell, and this is not my first time, it's not my second time.
Time goes by and his lawyer prevails on him to address the committee.
I'll give you one part of it, then maybe when another time I can give you the complete audio.
The lawmakers then turn their attention to the Nigeria Correctional Service as the officer in charge of the medium correctional facility Kirikiri, Lagos, where Bobrisky was incarcerated, addresses the allegations against the service.
Idris Okuneye Olarewaju, though male, had some female features like a breast. He has a breast. Yes. This is the original of the medical examination done by the facility's medical practitioner, a qualified doctor. Then he arrived at the conclusion that we have to put him in a protective custody, which we did. And he spent his time at Medium, the 10 days in our P ward room 2.
He alludes to the fact that Bobrisky's crime did not require him to be moved to a maximum facility, yet he was transferred by the Lagos controller.
On the 22nd, I was not available in the facility. I went to the people. When my controller put a call across and told me that he is moving him to maximum on security, for security reasons.
The issue of the suspension of the correctional officers involved gets even more complicated as the lawmakers press further, especially as the officers attended the hearing dressed in their uniforms.
Are you under suspension? No letter was given to me to that effect. Are you under suspension? There was a press release, so they just serve you a letter and tell you to go home. They didn't serve me a letter, sir. It's social media suspension.
The lawmakers demand for video recording from the medium and maximum security facilities. Meanwhile, on the allegation of bribery against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the prosecutor who handles the case explains the reason for dropping the money laundering charges.
When he elected to plead guilty in court in the morning, and having at the back of our mind that he response from the Special Control Unit against money laundering, saying that the Bob Express that we're charging for not rendering returns is not qualified to be a designated non-financial business and professionals provided under the Money Laundering Act.
The steps taken by the prosecution in proceeding to drop counts 5 and 6, which is akin to amendment of the charges, can take place at any time before judgment is not alien. It's not alien, as the Commission has, in numerous instances, caused charges to be amended.
The investigation is adjourned sine die, as the committee resolves to send a second invitation to Bobrisky after his lawyer, who was present at the hearing, informed the committee that his client had fallen ill. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the federal government has inaugurated an independent investigative panel to probe allegations of corruption, bribery and gross violations of standard operating procedures within the Nigeria Correctional Service. The Minister of Interior, Mr. Olubomi Tunji-Ojo, who inaugurated the committee in Abuja, says the panel is to also look at the recent allegation that some correctional service personnel had provided an alternative accommodation for convicted cross-dresser Idris Okunaye, also known as Bobrisky. According to the minister, the panel became necessary in order to sanitize the service towards attaining transparency and accountability. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Justice Kudirat Kekerekun as the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria. The ceremony, which took place at the Council Chamber of the State House Abuja, was attended by the Vice President, President of the Senate, Speaker of the House of Representatives, past Chief Justices, Justices of the Supreme and Appeal Courts, ministers and family members, including the 82-year-old mother of the new CJN. President Tinubu, while urging Justice Kekerekun to uphold their integrity, reiterates his administration's commitment to promoting the independence of the judiciary.
It is my administration's full commitment to preserve the sanctity of the judiciary. While we may have reasons to intervene as complementing component of the same government, the government under my watch will also be mindful of the clear line demarcating the two of us. We will never interfere or abuse the relationship that exists between us as separate organs of government in our democracy. This is important for the sustenance of our constitutional democracy. I want to urge the new Chief Justice of Nigeria to continue to uphold our reputation of being an ethical, fearless, and honest jurist. The Nigerian judiciary needs a leader with these qualities at this time, and I have no doubt that he will set the pace for others to follow.
Meanwhile, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says the National Assembly is not a rubber stamp legislature and will not fail in carrying out its constitutional responsibilities. He stated this in an interview with State House correspondent shortly after President Bola Tinubu swore in Justice Kudirat Kekereekun as the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria.
It's history, and like the President said, it gives the girl child the inspiration, regarding them as role models with Aluma Mokhtar, that yes, indeed, even if you're a girl and you work very hard, you can get to the zenith of any profession that you choose. And then the President commended the National Assembly. It's our job to ensure that we take actions that will stabilize the polity. We are not a rubber stamp. We will make sure we take actions that will stabilize the polity. In every respect, she's very highly qualified, and already she was sworn in as acting Chief Justice of Nigeria. And if you look at their progression and their succession in the Supreme Court, she's in the right position. It is not that we jumped anybody, no. And we looked at it, our pedigree, very high moral standard. We want her to also bring improvement in terms of prison decongestion. And then we're awaiting trials, which will speed up the wheel of justice. Too many people are awaiting justice, particularly in land matters. And then you see people being sent to prison for 7-8 years, and at the end being sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. What happens to the additional 5 years they spent? So she has to bring reforms into the judiciary, and the National Assembly is very poised to support the judiciary in that respect.
With the swearing-in out of the way, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, says there will be consequences for any act of indiscretion that will bring the judiciary to disrepute. Justice Kekereekun made the statement while performing her first official duty as the substantive CJN, which is the inauguration of 87 lawyers to the rank of Senior Advocates of Nigeria and the commencement of the Supreme Court 2024-2025 legal year.
The ceremonial courtroom at the Supreme Court of Nigeria is a beehive of activities with legal practitioners, traditional rulers, top government officials, and relatives of the newly elevated Senior Advocates of Nigeria. Fresh from her swearing-in ceremony at the State House, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, leads other Supreme Court justices into the hall for the ceremony. She inaugurates 87 lawyers to the rank of Senior Advocates of Nigeria as part of the commencement of the new legal year for the Apex Court.
To consider non-contentious matters.
In what could be considered her first official speech, the CJN did not mince words on her intentions for the judiciary, warning that there would be consequences for any act of indiscretion.
I want to assure my fellow Nigerian citizens that we are committed to working more diligently to improve public perception of the Nigerian judiciary. Over the years, various factors have contributed to the negative image of the judiciary. However, we are determined to change this narrative and make the judiciary a source of pride for all Nigerians.
Then comes the counsels from senior lawyers, urging the newly inducted senior advocates to uphold the tenets of the profession.
As legal practitioners, we act as the conscience and gatekeepers of the legal profession. Legal practitioners must refrain from abusing their privileged position as the link between the litigant and the judiciary. It is not the exclusive prerogative of litigants to determine which cases get filed in court or which judgment goes on appeal.
I must remind us that there is a growing perception by more Nigerians that judicial officers are oftentimes appointed without regard to merit, that our courts do not give justice, that our courts waste a lot of time, that are corrupt or do not protect the indigent, as the rights and interests of the citizens are oftentimes not prioritized.
As the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria settles to her duties, one major area of concern is the recurrent practice of arraigning suspects in court without proper preliminary investigations. This, she says, significantly delays the process and undermines the delivery of justice.
In part two, after the break, President Bola Tinubu to make a nationwide broadcast tomorrow, Tuesday, October the 1st at 7 in the morning as part of activities to commemorate the 64th independence anniversary of the country. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Blogger Martins Otse, known as Very Dark Man, appears before the House of Representatives panel investigating bribery allegations involving the EFCC and the Nigerian Correctional Service. Mr. Otse says he obtained the trending viral video from Idris Okuneye's creditor as the cross-dresser, citing ill health, abstains from the hearing. The president swears in Justice Kudirat Kekereekun as the substantive 23rd Chief Justice of Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu reaffirms his administration's commitment to upholding the judiciary's independence and sanctity. And President Bola Tinubu to make a nationwide broadcast tomorrow, Tuesday, October the 1st at 7 in the morning as part of activities to commemorate the 64th independence anniversary of Nigeria. Justice Peter Lifu of the Federal High Court Abuja has stopped the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) from releasing the voters' register to the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission to conduct the October the 5th, 2024 local government polls in the state. The court also barred the Inspector General of Police and the Department of State Services from providing security. Justice Lifu issued the order against INEC while delivering judgment in a suit brought before him by the All Progressives Congress. Justice Lifu held that the River State Electoral Commission was wrong in fixing the October 5th date for the conduct of the poll into the 23 local governments when all relevant laws guiding the election had not been fully complied with.
The court held that INEC, that is the first defendant, is bound to ensure that the National Register of Voters that includes Rivers State must be updated, and that same can only be released 90 days before the conduct of the elections. And also very fundamental from the judgment of the court is that the court struck down provisions of the Rivers State Electoral Law, Section 60 of that law that seeks to oust the jurisdiction of the court from depriving aggrieved parties from exercising their constitutional rights before the court. And in respect of all the preliminary objections that were raised, 9 of them in number, the court resolved all in favor of the plaintiff. The implication of the judgment of the court is that the elections cannot be conducted on the 5th of October except the condition precedents are provided by the Constitution and the Electoral Act is complied with.
Meanwhile, the River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara is insisting that the local government election in the state will hold as planned. Governor Fubara was speaking during an inspection of a road project in the state.
Our election will hold on the 5th of October. I'm aware that RISEC told me they already had an order mandating them to conduct the election on the 5th and the security agencies to support them. So I think with that order, the election will hold. I might not be a lawyer, but I know that there is something they call first in hand. And since they have the first in hand, we will give them all the necessary support for that election to be conducted. And it will be one of the best elections ever held in Rivers State, free and fair in this state.
President Bola Tinubu will make a nationwide broadcast on Tuesday, October the 1st at 7 in the morning. The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, made this known in a statement he issued in Abuja. He notes that the broadcast is part of activities to commemorate the 64th independence anniversary of the country. Meanwhile, ahead of tomorrow's Independence celebration, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Agbetokun, has ordered watertight security across the country to create a safe and conducive environment for citizens. A statement issued by the Force Public Relations Officer, Mr. Olumuyiwa Adejobi, says the IGP has ordered the deployment of adequate human and tactical resources to enable maximum level of security for the Independence celebration. The statement says that the police, in synergy with other security agencies, will fortify various designated event venues and the major highways across the country to forestall any threats to lives and property and indeed the celebration. Additionally, the IGP has directed all personnel deployed for various operations during the celebration to be courteous and firm in their engagements with members of the public. The National Human Rights Commission is asking the federal and state governments to protect the rights of citizens to peaceful demonstrations as it vows to monitor the October the 1st protests across the country and bring those who violate the right to protest to account. Addressing journalists in Abuja, the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Mr. Tony Ojukwu, also decried what he describes as a clampdown of protesters and the subsequent criminal prosecutions following the August 2024 End Bad Governance protests. Mr. Ojukwu also calls on the federal and state governments to ensure that the October protests are peaceful and that protesters are given the necessary support and leverage to conduct themselves in a civilized manner. So let's head to the nation's capital now, and Gloria Omezoke is ready to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Gloria, over to you.
Thank you, Ayo. Ahead of the October 19th local government elections in Kaduna State, Governor Obasani has flagged off the campaign of the All Progressives Congress with an optimism that the party will emerge victorious during the election owing to the achievements of his administration so far. Speaking at the flag-off of the campaign at the Murtala Mohammed Square in the state capital, Governor Sani promised to ensure a level playing field for all political parties.
You can see a lot of people coming from 23 local government to endorse and support our candidates from 23 local government of Kaduna State. I'm not surprised because since we were elected, I made it clear to everyone in Kaduna State, we are going to focus on rural revitalization. Today, most of the people standing here, or sitting here, are from rural local governments representing 23 local governments in Kaduna State. We are happy. We are also happy with what our government have done to them in the last 50 months. We have flagged up the construction of 62 roads across the 23 local government of Kaduna State. As we are speaking, we have done the commissioning of some of the roads in Kaduna State. We have also built 60 secondary schools across 23 local governments of Kaduna State.
Supporters of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election, Mr. Peter Obi, have started mobilizing more people to join the group in Nigeria's northwest region. The National Coordinating Council of the group, known as the Obidient movement, met in Kano to begin ward-by-ward registration of members. Our correspondent, Nanchin Vincent, reports.
Members of the Obidient movement have gathered in Kano in a major move to increase their membership from the ward to the national level. The National Coordinating Council of the movement is responsible for the mobilization, and they are pledging to provide quality leadership to salvage Nigeria.
We have been able to identify that the problem of Nigeria is not about money, it's not about the land resources that God has given to us, it's about leadership. Leadership has been a major problem in Nigeria, and that is what the Obidient movement is set to achieve. The idea behind the Obidient movement is very clear. It's about the quest, demand for good governance. And good governance is eluding us on a daily basis, where it reached to a point that our leaders will be taking decisions without even considering what happened to the lowest of the lowest persons in this country.
Other leaders of the group affirmed their belief in equal rights and social justice to end the hardship in the country.
We believe that enough momentum needs to be generated from within so that the difference can become clear to them that this is the direction. Because one thing that our people are so impoverished, when you give them the truth, they don't say it. If they get peanuts and crumbs, they rather want to go to that direction. So it makes it very challenging. But it begins with speaking to them. It begins with speaking to them. It begins with speaking to them. As soon as we start doing that, before long, we believe that the fruits will show.
The nation needs a leader that has capacity and the competence for him to move Nigeria from consumption to production. Not to have a country that just governed by because somebody is from my side or somebody is from my religion. So this is why we are here in Kano, in Mumbai, in trying to talk to ourselves and to start the creation of that movement and also registration of our all members from ward level up to national level so that we can consolidate and see how many of us do we have in the northern part of the country, more especially in the northwest.
Nigeria's northwest region has about 22.7 million registered voters, and the group believes that this effort will prove significant during the 2027 presidential election. From Kano Commercial City, Nancy Vincent, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, the World Bank approves 3 new loan requests of about $1.57 billion in financing for Nigeria. That's some business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. Fidelity Bank Nigeria PLC is committed to various initiatives aimed at enhancing the standard of education and ensuring that the next generation is well-equipped to drive the nation's future. This formed part of the message of the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Fidelity Bank PLC, Dr. Nneka Onyeali-Ikpe, who was represented at the event of the Read to Lead prize presentation, which held in Lagos. Read to Lead 2024 is a writing competition that began with 3,000 students, from which 30 finalists emerged.
The Metropolitan Club Victoria Island Lagos is the cynosure of all eyes as Fidelity Bank holds its Read to Lead prize presentation. Inside, it's a gathering of Fidelity Bank executives, students from various schools, teachers and parents. The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Fidelity Bank PLC, Dr. Nneka Onyeali-Ikpe, is represented by the Executive Director, South Directorate, Fidelity Bank PLC, Pamela Shodipo.
From a journey that started out with about 3,000 students, we are now left with the top 30 finalists, even though only one student will emerge as the best of the best.
It's crunch time, and the 30 finalists are called to the stage and presented with certificates.
Congratulations, Faithful Imosile, Sani Musa, Top Quest International School.
First and second runners-up emerge, and the winner is announced.
And the ultimate winner is
I feel like it's unbelievable. When I started, I didn't expect I'll get to last stage. I just showed it, just for writing's sake.
More light is shed.
So the Twitter initiative is a product for children in the bank, and it's supposed to encourage education and also support the parents as they educate their children. The benefits of that product is a wide bouquet. That includes sponsorship of about 150,000 naira to the parents towards the education of their children. It also gives the children avenue to be part of events that focuses on children.
The Read to Lead initiative is one the bank is proud to champion.
For us at Fidelity Bank, one of the key pillars that drive our social initiatives is education. We're very strong on education because we believe that education is has a transformative power in changing economies all over the world.
And the government of Ogun State equally lauds Fidelity Bank's read-to-lead endeavor.
I'm very, very excited about the program, and they should keep it up. All the learners that happens to be the contestant, they should keep it up.
For Fidelity Bank, education is a most valuable asset to national development, and it remains in the forefront of championing such causes in line with corporate social responsibility.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. For more on the news at 10, let's head back to Ayo in Lagos.
Many thanks, Gloria. Standard Chartered Bank Nigeria Limited, one of the leading international cross-border banks providing financial solutions in the country, has celebrated a milestone marking 25 years of service in Nigeria. In a special evening at the Centerpoint Towers in Ikoyi, Lagos, the bank honored both its valued clients and dedicated staff members.
It's a truly special occasion. It's the 25th anniversary of Standard Chartered Bank in Nigeria. After a quarter of a century of excellence and unmatched service, the bank chose to celebrate with the very people who made the journey possible for them. In this celebratory and special atmosphere, the chairman and CEO of the bank reflects on how far they have come.
When we came back in 1999, we started off with a handful of people. Standard Chartered Bank Nigeria started in a room in Eko Hotel. And as I say, the rest is history, because over the last 25 years, we now have a staff strength of about 600 people. And these 600 people will now serve nearly 340,000 clients.
I'm filled with a deep sense of gratitude and pride as I reflect on the vision that we've set for ourselves when we started on this journey, which was to build a bank that would not only serve the financial needs of our clients, but would also have a lasting impact in developing our great nation, Nigeria. Today, as I look back on that journey, I can actually say that we've walked the path of living our vision over these last 25 years.
The evening isn't just about looking back, it's also about celebrating the possibilities that lie ahead for Standard Chartered Bank in the country. And for both dedicated staff members and top clients, it's been 25 years of consistent service and impact.
This celebration is one of the ways we show our customers that we appreciate them. We appreciate their loyalty, their patronage over the years, and the relationship.
I think it's been upwards of 20 years. I opened my account first, I believe, in the early 2000s, and the experience has been very consistent, very reliable, no surprises. What they say is what they do. So for me, that's just excellent.
As the bank celebrates 25 years, it stands at the intersection of history, culture, and the future. So as the evening came to a close, they take a moment to raise their glasses to the road ahead for Standard Chartered Bank in Nigeria.
Let's get the very latest from the world of business with Will Ibok.
Thank you, Ayotunde. The World Bank has approved 3 new loans worth $1.57 billion for Nigeria. The funds will address governance issues, boost healthcare, and support sustainable projects that's in the power and irrigation sectors. Now, the breakdown includes $500 million for governance, $570 million to strengthen primary healthcare, and $500 million for the power and irrigation sector. According to the World Bank, these projects aim to improve health services, particularly for women and children, and enhance resilience against climate change, such as flood and drought, by improving dam safety and irrigation. And the domestic equities market closed the final trading day of the month of September in positive territory. Laddie Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Reports. The final trading day of September and the local bourse ends on a high note there. 0.10% profited 98,558 points. We're seeing it try to crawl back above the 100,000 level. That's for the all-share index. Market cap 56 trillion. Let's look at the sectoral performance now. We see the banking counter that's shining today. Oil and gas unchanged. Consumer goods marginally down 0.05%. Then there's a big move of 1.14% for the banking counter. Let's see why that's moving up now. If you look at the tier 1 banks, FBNH down 4.09%. IBOC the shiner today 9.90%. That's for UBA, and we see it took the shine among the tier 1 banks, with the company reporting 401 billion naira in half-year pre-tax profits, declaring a record 2 naira dividends, and we see investors piling cash into that stock today, taking it 9.90%. So today's trade marks the end of the third quarter of 2024. Markets will be closed tomorrow as Nigeria celebrates 64 years of independence. Congratulations, Nigeria.
And that wraps up business. It's back to you today.
Thank you so much, Will. A U.S. official confirmed that Israel has notified the U.S. it intends to launch a limited ground incursion into Lebanon starting as soon as today. The U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller says America wants to see a diplomatic resolution to the conflict, which allows citizens on both sides of the border to return to their homes. Here's Simon Puser with more on this and other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The Palestinian militant group Hamas says Fatah Sharif Abu el-Amin, the group's leader in Lebanon, has been killed along with some family members in an Israeli airstrike in the south of the country. Hamas says he was killed in a strike on his home in the Al-Bas camp in South Lebanon. Meanwhile, emergency services attended the scene of an Israeli strike in Beirut that the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine says killed 3 of its leaders. In a televised address earlier, Hezbollah's deputy chief, Sheikh Naim Qassem, said Hezbollah would keep up the fight against Israel. There are expectations that Israel will soon carry out a land invasion of Lebanon, with tanks growing in number on the border. Separately, the Lebanese government says it is ready to fully implement a UN resolution that had aimed to end Hezbollah's armed presence south of the Litani River as part of an agreement to stop the war with Israel. At least 30 people have died and scores more are unaccounted for in just one county in North Carolina after Hurricane Helene tore across the state and caused catastrophic flooding. A clearer image of the damage the storm inflicted after barreling through Florida and Georgia emerged throughout Sunday, with Buncombe County appearing to be the hardest hit area. At least 116 people have died nationwide since the hurricane made landfall in Florida on Thursday, and that figure is expected to rise as officials reach more areas. Marine Le Pen, the longtime leader of France's far-right National Rally and presidential hopeful, is going on trial in Paris accused of misusing European parliamentary funds. More than 20 other senior figures in the party are also facing the same charges. They are accused of hiring assistants who worked on party affairs rather than for the European Parliament, which paid them. If Le Pen is found guilty, she could face fines and imprisonment and potentially be declared ineligible to run for office for up to 10 years, hitting her presidential ambitions. Jens Stoltenberg will step down today after 10 years as NATO's Secretary-General, to be replaced by the former Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. Stoltenberg held his final NATO summit as chief on July the 9th. It has been rumoured he may take over as chair of the Munich Security Conference when he finishes his term. Stoltenberg, a former Prime Minister of Norway, has been the Transatlantic Security Alliance's leader since 2014, and his tenure had already been extended 3 previous times. Britain will become the first G7 country to end coal-fired power production with the closure of its last plant, Uniper's Ratcliffe-on-Sour in England's Midlands. It will end over 140 years of coal power in Britain. In 2015, Britain announced plans to close coal plants within the next decades as part of wider measures to reach its climate targets. At that time, almost 30% of the country's electricity came from coal, but this has fallen to just over 1% last year. The drop in coal power has helped cut Britain's greenhouse gas emissions, which have more than halved since 1990. A SpaceX capsule sent to bring back 2 astronauts stranded on the International Space Station has docked. The Dragon capsule, which has 2 empty seats for Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams, docked at 5:30 Eastern Time.
Next up is Crew 9 Commander Nick Hague.
The pair arrived at the station on Boeing's new Starliner capsule for an 8-day mission in June, but were forced to remain there because of a fault discovered during the flight. They are now expected to return to Earth in February. The Dragon capsule lifted off from Cape Canaveral in Florida on Saturday, carrying NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Russian cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov. And thousands of New Zealanders have broken the Guinness World Record for the most number of people performing The Hacker in Auckland. New Zealanders turned out in force to Eden Park to participate in the event and take the record back from France, who broke it a decade ago in 2014. While the official number is still being tallied, Guinness World Record adjudicator Brian Sobel told those gathered they had broken the record. The Hacker is a Maori ceremonial war dance and is often performed by a group. It is popularly performed by New Zealand rugby teams before the start of a match. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Nigeria has picked Africa's ticket at the International Cricket Council Under-19 Women's World Cup. Africa qualifiers concluded in Kigali, Rwanda. Nigeria was declared the winner of the final match against Zimbabwe after the match was washed out in the second inning. The 2025 Under-19 ICC Women's World Cup in Malaysia is scheduled to kickstart on January 18, and the junior female Yellow Greens are in Group C alongside New Zealand, South Africa, and Samoa. Away from cricket, World Football Governing Body FIFA has banned Cameroon Football Federation's president Samuel Eto'o for 6 months over his conduct at a women's Under-20 World Cup match. The former Barcelona star was deemed guilty of breaching FIFA's rules relating to offensive behavior, violation of the principles of fair play, and misconduct of players and officials. The charges relate to Cameroon's last 16 game against Brazil, which the South Americans won 3-1 after extra time. And Samuel Eto'o and the Cameroon delegation saw red over a penalty that led to Brazil's equalizer at the match in Bogota, Colombia on September 11. And basketball Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo has died at the age of 58 from brain cancer. Beloved by fans, the Congolese center was selected as an NBA All-Star 8 times, using his tremendous 7-foot 2-inch frame to become one of the league's most fearsome shot blockers, and Defensive Player of the Year honors 4 times. Mutombo's personality made him a fan favorite as he played 18 seasons with 6 different teams in the league, averaging 9.8 points and 10.3 rebounds per game. After retiring in 2008, he became NBA's first global ambassador and helped promote the sport here in the continent. And our thoughts and prayers are with the family of the former NBA player. Well, that's sports. I'm Kelly. It's back to you today.
Many thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. Blogger Martins Otse, known as Very Dark Man, has appeared before the House of Representatives panel investigating bribery allegations involving the EFCC and the Nigeria Correctional Service. Mr. Otse said he obtained the trending viral video from Idris Okuneya's creditor as the cross-dresser, citing ill health, abstained from the hearing. The president has sworn in Justice Kudirat Kekereekun as the substantive 23rd Chief Justice of Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu reaffirmed his administration's commitment to upholding the judiciary's independence and sanctity. And President Bola Tinubu will make a nationwide broadcast tomorrow, Tuesday, October the 1st at 7 in the morning as part of activities to commemorate the 64th independence anniversary of Nigeria. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. You have a good night and please stay safe and happy independence.